Is it possible to overcome high functioning anxiety? The answer to this question is more nuanced than you might think, and it's what I'm going to break down in today's episode. I'm going to answer questions such as what does it mean to overcome a mental health struggle? Is it possible to overcome anxiety? And more. So stay tuned if this is something you're interested in. This is episode number 73. Is it possible to overcome high functioning anxiety? Welcome to Calmly Coping. My name is Tati Garcia, and I am a licensed therapist and coach specializing in high functioning anxiety. I help high achievers overcome high functioning anxiety so they can finally stop overthinking everything. If this topic interests you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I release a new episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I like to start with discussing definitions to ensure that we're on the same page. When I'm talking about overcoming, what I'm referring to is succeeding in dealing with a problem or difficulty. So is it possible to successfully deal with high functioning anxiety so that it doesn't negatively impact your life? So here's the thing, anxiety is a normal human emotion, so it's not something that you can ever completely get rid of. In the same way that you can't get rid of emotions like sadness or anger or happiness, you can't just get rid of anxiety. It is a protective response that comes from a place of fear. So there are times when anxiety can be helpful in situations, such as before an exam or before an important presentation. Some of that anxiety can be helpful to motivate you to prepare because that anxiety is increasing your level of concern or worry about what's going to happen. So there are certain situations where anxiety can be helpful. Even in a situation where you're in danger, anxiety can be helpful to encourage you to run away from the situation if that's the response that your body has. So there are some personality types that are more prone to anxiety, such as a type A personality, which is somebody who is very organized and detailed and likes to be in control. That type of personality can be more prone to suffering with anxiety. Therefore, again, it's not something you can completely get rid of. So I like to start with that foundation so that you understand that the goal isn't to completely get rid of anxiety, because in some situations it can actually be useful. But the goal when you overcome any mental health struggle or obstacle that's getting in your way is to work on things so that it's no longer significantly negatively impacting your life or your functioning. So it doesn't mean that you're always happy or you never have struggles, because that's impossible. That's a big part of being human, experiencing the ups and downs of life and periods of stress, as well as difficult emotions. So overcoming high functioning anxiety means that you're no longer stuck in the blind cycle of overthinking, overworking, and neglecting your self-care and boundaries. So if overcoming high functioning anxiety is a topic that interests you and you want to dive deeper into actually understanding the process that you can take, I'm hosting a live webinar coming up next week. It's going to be Monday, November 15th. And in this webinar, I'm going to teach you how to overcome high functioning anxiety. I'm going to teach you how to break the cycle of high functioning anxiety so that you can finally feel more calm, balanced, and confident. You're going to learn how to declutter your mind and increase focus so you can gain clarity and feel calmer. And you're also going to learn how to practice self-compassion so that you can start feeling more confident. If this is a topic that interests you, then you can go to calmlycoping.com/webinar to register for free. And even if you can't attend live, you'll still get a recording of the webinar. So when you overcome high functioning anxiety, that means that you're aware of your triggers, you're aware of the root of your struggles, and you understand the maintenance habits such as coping mechanisms or being aware of your warning signs for increased stress or anxiety that are important to prevent you from sliding back into overwhelm, increased anxiety, depression, or burnout. So it's not that you're never going to experience difficult emotions or difficult experiences or stress or anxiety ever again. It means that you're able to catch yourself and prevent yourself from going into this downward spiral where you feel stuck and where you feel overwhelmed and where you're really struggling and things are holding you back, such as fear and anxiety. So overcoming high functioning anxiety includes getting to the root, changing your thoughts and your behaviors, learning how to effectively cope with difficult emotions, so having emotion regulation skills, and effectively managing your time and energy. And I'll go into more detail on all of these topics if you attend the upcoming webinar. When you have overcome high functioning anxiety, you might experience what are called flare ups. And so this is something that people with medical conditions might struggle with, like psoriasis, where stress might result in a flare up of their symptoms. The same thing can happen when you struggle with anxiety and high functioning anxiety. It is normal as a human to regress to earlier ways of coping or behaving when you're in periods of stress or transition, and anything that comes up that might be difficult for you. The difference is that once you've worked through and recognized and overcome high functioning anxiety and realized what is unhelpful for you, what are those warning signs that are getting in your way, and what you can do about it, you now have a choice. Rather than being mindless and slipping back into those old patterns and old ways of feeling and thinking and behaving, you can recognize what's happening and you can choose to act and behave differently. For example, I notice that my perfectionism tends to come up when I get to start to record new episodes. I have the tendency to want to make everything perfect, to cover absolutely everything on a topic, and that results in behaviors such as procrastination. So I might push off like doing my podcast episode or doing the outline. That might result in feelings of imposter syndrome, like I'm not good enough to be doing this. All of this stuff still comes up for me, even though I'm at a place where I have overcome the big and significant things that are holding me back with high functioning anxiety. So I'm aware that these sensations and these patterns are going to come up. And now as a result, I can recognize when it's coming up and I can have awareness, oh, this is what's happening. Like my perfectionism is coming up again. I know what to expect. I know that this is just what's going to happen when I'm doing something that's uncomfortable for me or something that's important to me. And so I can learn to have awareness of the procrastination when it comes up and other types of behaviors that might get in my way, and then counteract those and choose to just do it, whether it's just doing it messy and, just doing what I can to get it out there rather than trying to make it perfect. So that's just one example where, those old feelings and behaviors might come up. But the difference is when you've learned to overcome high functioning anxiety and have that foundation of tools and getting to the root of what's causing those types of patterns, then it becomes easier to cope with them and they don't hold you back. And over time, it becomes more automatic and easier to prevent yourself from getting in these places of feeling stuck and feeling held back by those struggles that you're experiencing. So here's the thing, overcoming high functioning anxiety is possible with the proper education and support. And, having that support is such an important part because everybody has blind spots and it's really easy to get stuck in your old patterns and habits if you aren't aware of them and if you're not aware of what's really under the root. Most people know that they're struggling with overthinking and they're feeling overwhelmed and they put a lot of pressure on themselves, but you might not know what's really underneath those behaviors, like the root fears that are triggering those types of behaviors, those limiting beliefs that are underneath and that are really contributing to you acting in these ways where you're ignoring your boundaries or people pleasing, even though you know that you don't want to do this, but you still continue to get stuck in it. So when you're in a place like that, that's when it's important to have the proper education and support so that you can have an expert's opinion as to what's going on. And so whether that means you going to therapy if you feel like that's the right choice for you and you're really struggling with things like anxiety and depression, or maybe that means an educational and group coaching program such as my Calm, Balance, and Confident program that is going to be launching in just a few days. I launch my group coaching program, Calm, Balance, and Confident, every 6 months, and the doors are going to be opening in mid-November, so in just a few days on November 15th, and my webinar, How to Overcome High Functioning Anxiety, is in celebration of that. And so this is my entire signature process, starting from the root and working towards helping you identify a wellness plan so that you can maintain these positive behaviors. So if you want to learn more and be the first to know when doors open, you can go to calmlycoping.com/waitlist. And just to wrap things up, it is possible to overcome high functioning anxiety. And depending on where you are and what level you're ready to start to commit to when it comes to making these changes, just taking one step forward can make a huge difference. So whether that means following through and attending my trainings and courses, or whether that means for you taking one small step in the direction of prioritizing your mental health. Everybody's at a different point with what they're ready to do when it comes to taking that first step. So do whatever that first step means for you. Maybe it means starting to increase awareness of your emotions and starting to listen to yourself more by journaling and practicing other things that will help you to connect to yourself. So do whatever feels best for you in this moment. That is it for this episode. Your action tip is to register for my free webinar at calmlycoping.com/webinar, taking place Monday, November 15th. If that's something that you're interested in and you want to dive deeper. While you wait for next week's episode, I have other episodes about decreasing anxiety, adopting a healthy mindset, and managing your time and energy. So you can check out these episodes right here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, be calm.